Today's video, I want to ask the question, do you really need to be taking vitamins, supplements, protein powder, BCAAs? Are they actually beneficial to you, or are you being lied to? You kind of have two camps of people at this moment in time. You've got one camp that completely and utterly believes in mainstream medicine, and they're more than happy to be prescribed all sorts of medication, and they genuinely believe that that medication is helping them because it's numbing their symptoms, right? But then you get the health-conscious people on the other side that will try to avoid medication at all costs. They're not comfortable with the idea of just taking a pill, and they know that there's always some form of side effects associated. But then at the same time, the health-conscious people, majoritively, are very comfortable with taking vitamins, powders, supplements, because they're sold to us as completely natural. And by the way, I'm not calling anyone out here. I have taken vitamins plenty of times in the past. I've had periods of time where I was taking up to 3 different vitamins a day, along with having a very nutritious diet. One thing in particular that I took was B12. Because I'm pescatarian, I don't consume any meat whatsoever other than fish, so I figured I'm most likely to be deficient in B12 because it's mostly found in meat. Well, when I went on holiday abroad, I realised that I couldn't take my little pill box because it would look really suspicious and weird. So I had to accept the fact that I couldn't take any of my vitamins on the plane with me. And that was many, many months ago. I went the whole week without any vitamins. I actually felt better, also bearing in mind that even when I was on holiday, in fact, especially because I was on holiday, I made sure to have as much nutritious food as possible. And ever since I came back from holiday, I just haven't had any supplements, and I honestly don't really feel a negative difference at all. The concern that I have around vitamins is that, yes, it's not the same as medication, obviously, but by the same token, you can't say that it appears in nature at all, and I really don't think that we were created to consume this. I strongly believe that in nature, if you eat a wholesome diet, you technically should be getting all of the vitamins and nutrients that you need. However, I do understand that in this Western culture, a lot of the fruits and vegetables that are being sold in the supermarkets are very poor quality, and some of it, well, let's just put it this way. The tomatoes from Morrison's are a hell of a lot different to the tomatoes that come out of my greenhouse. It's like you're eating a completely different food. I really want to stress this point that I am not trying to encourage anyone in any way, shape or form. Genuinely. You know what your diet is. You know your own body. The whole purpose of me doing this video is so that I can actually share my experience, my knowledge, give you guys a different perspective, because maybe you've been thinking the same as me, but there's not a single other person on the internet that is questioning the same things. The next thing that I want to get onto is something that is huge in the weightlifter community. I have watched countless different fitness YouTubers, so many of them, and they all do seem to be singing from the same hymn sheet. The thing that I find very strange is that in the word fitness, you would also associate the word health and fitness. They should be hand in hand. But I really do feel like with the weightlifter community in particular, things have gone a little bit south. Nearly every single fitness influencer out there is promoting some form of supplement, and most of them will promote protein powder, whey powder, BCAAs, and a bunch of other things like creatine, glutamine. And some of them will do these what I eat in a day kind of videos. In fact, a lot of their videos are telling people what they eat in order to get lean and gain muscle. And the things that they're eating, there's so many of them that I see that are eating absolute crap. Like, fully processed, packed with nothing beneficial really. Just synthetic E-numbers, sugar, not much else. Obviously, I'm not saying all of them do this, but I've seen so many of them that do not at all account for feeding their body with actual nutrients and nutrient-dense food, but instead all they're focused on is the macros. Now, for anyone who's not in the cult of weightlifting, macros is the nutritional facts that you read on any food item. Most weightlifters care a lot about the protein content, the carbs, the calories, and the fat. And a lot of weightlifters will follow the numbers religiously every single day and try to hit the exact number of macros that they're supposed to have. To me, this is actually a borderline eating disorder. But it's become normalized, and then what you get is now there's this new thing that weightlifters say, which is called intuitive eating. And I just think that the world has gone absolutely mad at this point, because intuitive eating is just eating what you feel that your body needs. It's not weighing out your food and planning out your meals and calculating every single calorie. It's just living your life and gauging it roughly and just listening to your body. But it's now been given a label as if it's a specific type of diet. I don't mean to sound so aggressive towards the weightlifting community, and if anybody does this, I say this in good faith. The reason why it makes me angry is because they've all got this information from somewhere. Someone's been leading the pack, and then other people follow it out of fear because they don't know any better. And I'm just going to tell you this right now. I have been on a weightlifting journey, predominantly, in fact, wholeheartedly, I have been growing my glutes for roughly about 7 years. I have studied about muscle growth obsessively. I have watched so many videos I couldn't even begin to tell you. I have obtained so much knowledge when it comes to fitness, health, etc. And when I started lifting heavy, I kept hearing the advice that you have to take a protein supplement, as in protein powder, and you have to take BCAAs, because otherwise your muscles won't grow. It just won't happen. Let me tell you, right? My glute growth, like my hair, is insane. And I am not saying that to brag. I'm saying that to show you that you don't need this stuff, right? I have never ever taken a protein shake. Actually, tell a lie. I've probably consumed about 2 protein shakes in my entire life. And that was just to taste them. There were times where I contemplated it and thought, maybe I should be taking these supplements, but something was just telling me, no, it's not natural. The body was not designed to just consume protein in an isolated form without any of the other components. To me, the concept has always been very bizarre. And I just wanted to put this on the record so that you know, I've been weightlifting for 7 years, and I've not been going crazy with it either. I mean, I work hard, but I see other people that are competing that go crazy. They work so hard on their muscles. They have such a restrictive routine. Everything is micromanaged. And with me, I didn't do any of that. I don't even count macros. I don't believe in it because I've had an eating disorder, okay? It was not good. I just want you to know that you can grow your muscles. You can grow them. You do not need all of these things that these influencers are trying to sell you, as long as you have a wholesome diet and you eat natural foods. And just to put it further into perspective, for anybody who wants to know specifics, I am pescatarian. I have been pescatarian my entire life. I do not consume any meat whatsoever, just fish. I consume an average amount of dairy, I suppose. If I were to go by the macros of what these fitness influencers recommend, I don't think I ever hit my recommended daily allowance of protein every day, but I am telling you, I've made gains. A lot of gains. When it comes to training, on a really good week, I'll train glutes twice a week. Sometimes I skip workouts because life happens. And I am not saying this to brag, I'm saying this to empower you. And I know a lot of people are going to come up with the it's genetics argument, right? The excuse of genetics is thrown about so much on social media, and This is another thing that I find is really sad because it's actually very limiting for people to hear this. Some people think it's like a comfort, but I personally don't feel it's comforting to hear that this person has better genetics than you don't, therefore you've got no chance. That to me is the most limiting thing to hear, and I do not adopt it as truth. I believe that everybody has the potential. They just need to know the right information. So many of us, if not all of us, are always being lied to by the media, the system, and there is so much wrong information out there that causes people to negatively impact their own health just based on lack of knowledge. And a lot of you guys are on that journey of uncovering all of these truths, the same as how I am. And I'm just sharing what I know thus far. On the subject of vitamins, there is so much wrong information thrown out there, some of which I've uncovered and I've spoken about it in previous videos. One thing is magnesium. There are all sorts of different magnesium supplements that are out there. And yes, most people are deficient in magnesium. I will say that. We are. But these magnesium supplements are actually a complete and utter waste of time because magnesium is actually best absorbed through the skin. But these supplements are still being sold on the shelves and people are still telling you to buy it, and it's doing nothing for your health because people don't understand the concept that the skin absorbs 90% of what goes on it, which a lot of people should think about what they're actually putting on their skin because the skin is absorbing that stuff. But the skin is an organ that is supposed to soak in certain nutrients. Another one of those nutrients is vitamin D. I've spoken about this before. Years ago, if you typed in, how do you absorb vitamin D? It was actually scientifically stated that you cannot absorb vitamin D orally. You can't do it. Because vitamin D comes from the sun. And the only way to absorb it is through sunlight. That's why in the winter in the UK, everyone looks like they're dying and they're depressed because they can take all these vitamin D supplements that the doctor's telling them to take, but it's doing nothing. In fact, it's doing harm, but that's for another video. It's doing nothing because vitamin D only comes from the sun and through the skin. And then we're told to wear sunscreen. Make it make sense. So in conclusion, as I say in a lot of my videos, if you feel like you're deficient in a vitamin, which you could be, of course, most people are deficient in something if not many things. The best thing for you to do, this is what I would do, and this is what I do. I go on ChatGPT and I type in what foods contain this vitamin, and it will give me a full list of some foods that I can start eating that contain it. If I have an ailment, I will also ask ChatGPT, what might I be deficient in if I'm experiencing these symptoms? Now, I suppose there's a legal disclaimer that I have to make that this does not constitute for medical advice and that you should speak to your doctor because they're so clever and they know everything. But anyway, if you want to take your health into your own hands, that's an easy thing that you can do. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope you found it was helpful. Like I say, I am not trying to call out anyone in the weightlifting community. Apart from the ones that eat crap and then promote it. I'm calling them out. But anyway, thank you so much for liking, commenting, sharing and subscribing, and I will see you in the next video. Love you, bye. You know I'll be